We welcome you back, and we are pleased to welcome in the assistant coach of the Connecticut Sun. His name is Steve Smith, in his second year with the Sun. But, Coach, you're certainly no stranger to this league. Give us a little bit of a background on your history with the WNBA. You've been around since day one, haven't you?
Since day one. First of all, thank you for having me. Yes, I've been involved with the WNBA, been very fortunate to be involved in this league since day one in 1997. The first year I coached with the Phoenix Mercury, I was Cheryl Miller's lone assistant coach that year. So scouting for every opponent was tough. Then the second year I was Orlando Woolridge's assistant coach with the LA Sparks. And then one of my former players that I coached, which was Nancy Lieberman in Phoenix that first year, got the head coaching job in Detroit. So I went to the Detroit Shock for about 3 years. And then I took a hiatus from the league because my wife and I had 3 little children and had to take an athletic director's job, which was great, but I missed the W. I missed the WNBA. So in about 2005 and 6, Renee Brown had me scouting, for the WNBA, scouting college players and stuff. And then I did some scouting for teams. And then about 2009, 2008, Michael Cooper got the job with LA Sparks, came back, and then I coached with him for about 3 years. And then Jen Gillum got the head coaching job with LA, and I coached with her as an assistant coach. Left for a couple of years. Then, unfortunately, what happens in this league, coaches get let go. And unfortunately, Carol Ross got let go. Penny Toller, the GM and vice president at the time of the LA Sparks, became the interim coach. And she called me, and then I became her assistant coach. And then Brian Agler came, and I coached with Brian Agler, and then that's where I met Curt Miller.
Curt Miller asks you to be on his staff here in Connecticut. I'm sure you did the pros and cons rundown when the offer was made. What in the end led you to taking the job here in Connecticut?
Well, one, had a great connection with Coach Miller, in our lone year with the Sparks together with Coach Agler. He is a phenomenal coach. His X's and O's and just his expertise and to precision, to detail, was none like I've ever seen before from a head coach. And that intrigued me, and that was very exciting. Was it tough to leave my home of Los Angeles and leave, the Sparks? It was a tough decision. I've coached with the Sparks for about 6 years and did a lot of scouting for them. But to have the opportunity to coach with Coach Miller and to come and be in Connecticut, which is a great fan base for women's basketball, and having come to this arena and watch the excitement of how the fans embrace this team and how the organization treats its employees and the players and the coaches was very intriguing to me. And I made the decision to come out here and be with Curt.
Now, our fans are now used to seeing you as part of the huddle on the Connecticut Sun bench, but Curt Miller, of course, is the man in front of all this. But you have very specific responsibilities and important job responsibilities. What are some of the things that he asks you to do specifically with this team?
Well, specifically during the game is to help him with the offense. I have to watch and see what type of adjustments their defense is doing to the plays that we're calling. If we get stagnant, make suggestions to him. He and I will huddle briefly outside of Nikki's responsibility as the defensive coordinator. She's in the huddle first. And then we'll talk about some plays, what we might want to do, try and take advantage of certain mismatches, and then he goes in and takes care of the rest.
Final thing, Coach, the youth of this team is obviously its advantage and disadvantage. It's still a learning process, but how close, as somebody who has been around a long time and has seen teams progress and mature, how close is this Connecticut Sun team right now?
Well, if we can stay healthy, we're very close. But you can see the development of our younger players. Obviously, Coach always talks about championships are won in the locker room, and we wanted to make a youth movement. And well, the second-year players have been really performing very well. And then we have a great mix of, the veterans of Jazz, Alyssa, AT, that have that already veteran experience, but they're in the mid-youth area, what I like to say, in their tenure, their career right now. So we're very close. Making, obviously when we get, some pieces back, we're going to be someone to deal with because we consistently play hard. Coaches always put the players in positions to make plays, and defensively, we're pretty pesky. I mean, we've lost 3 games by 2 points. A young team is teaching them how to close out those games. But you only learn how to close out those games through experience. And, you know, the agony of defeat, we don't like losing, but that tends to spur the learning experience a little bit quicker. So we're really excited that we have something to look forward to.
Coach, really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
That is Steve Smith, and we're back right after this.